document about
Oh yeah.
about
Hmm.
nothing major, nothing new. Just the same kind of news and
No,
on this day in history
I
stuff.
like the
on this day.
graphics. Very nice.
Yeah, baby.
Here we are.
All right,
Oh,
cool.
we live. So I'm gonna get this read on. I'm gonna let everybody know. Head over to dnvrgolf.com and download WGT Golf. It's super fun. It's super free. I don't know that you can be super free. I think once you're free, you're just free, but still, it is. And it's loved by over 20 million people in the world, including everybody here on the DNVR staff. Most of the people here in the DNVR community really loving it. So remember to check out WGT Golf at dnvrgolf.com.
And go in the air, deep right center field. Two-run home run, Trevor Story. Way back, Myers, watch it go out. Chuck Nasty. Two-run home run, David Dahl. And Nolan drives this high in the air, deep left field. Take a good look, you won't see it for long. I don't want to lose your love tonight.
Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast presented by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use that promo code DNVR20 and you'll get 20% off your entire purchase of that CBD infused and deliciously rich Strava Craft Coffee. I am your host, Drew Kreisman. I am the managing editor of DNVR Rockies. You, of course, know our beat writer, Patrick Lyons, and you know this guy. You've missed him. We haven't had him on in quite some time. A regular, a favorite guest of ours, a favorite person to talk baseball with, and honestly, just one of my favorite people in the world from MLB.com, Manny Randawha. How are you, sir?
I'm good, guys. I'm glad to see you. It's been too long, but so is the off season, right? So
It sure
I missed you
has.
guys too. It's fun to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's we've talked about it a couple of times. It's been like 10 months since we've all
Yeah,
been together
unbelievable,
covering
right?
baseball. Since Sam Hilliard was out there kind of ruining the Brewers' day and
Right.
potentially season. But opening day is just a few days away from us. And by the time people are listening to this, it may be less than 24 hours away, unless you're joining us on the live. Again, subscribe to the YouTube. And so I want to jump into all of that today. We're going to play some trivia games at the end of the show, but we got to celebrate opening days
For sure.
and baseball in general. It's just a little bit from us. Manny, do you have a favorite or a handful of favorite opening day memories, either from time you were a kid just going out to the ball game or even, covering some?
The one that comes first to my mind, I guess, and probably for a lot of Rockies fans, is the Bichette home run in '95 to open the ballpark. I wasn't there. Yeah, I fist pump. I wasn't there, but it's the one that I guess and we're all about the same, roughly the same age. It's the one that stands out the most because it's always being shown again and again because it was opening the park, 14 innings, 25 degrees, all of it. So I think that, and I've obviously been talking about that one a lot lately. So I think that one is the one that there is one opening day I think from around the year 2002 or something like that, where Barry Bonds hit like three homers on three pitches in the first game, and they were the only three pitches that were in the strike zone. And I just laughed audibly, and that was probably the first time I've laughed audibly at something on TV like that. But he was just a machine. He did what I think he did what he set out to do. Right? He basically showed us what a human being could do on performance enhancing drugs. I don't think anybody could do anything more than that.
Fair enough. I guess I guess you could say, hey, we reached the limit. No one else needs to do this anymore. Maybe you could frame it
Exactly.
that way.
That's right.
Uh,
That's pretty
I
much
think
what happened.
I think it might have coincidentally also been opening day in '95, where my father had gotten tickets for the Yankees game that day,
Oh,
and
sweet.
it was snowing, and
Oh
we're
my
like, well, they're
goodness.
not going to play this game. They played it, and so you'll see
Oh
some
wow.
great highlights of Dwight Gooden on the mound there,
Oh
throwing in
really?
the snow,
That's
pitched a
perfect.
nice little gem, and that's why if you got tickets, you almost just have to do the dance, drive at least halfway, wait for word
Yeah.
for it to get canceled, because if not, you could be be missing
Yeah.
history. And there might have been a lot of people thinking the same thing in 95 at Coors Field. Oh, maybe this game's too cold.
Yeah.
It might get canceled. Or the people who would have left a little bit early thinking,
Right.
hey, I got my money's worth. And when really that sets the tone for everything that comes after with the Blake Street Bombers, just that fist wiggling in the air of Dante Bichette triumphantly hitting that walk-off homer.
Yeah, it's funny. The only time I went to the old Yankee Stadium, I'm glad I got there before they tore it down. But the only time I went there was a rainy night in August of, I think, 99 maybe, or 2000. One of those years, Roger Clemens was pitching, and my parents wanted to get out of there, because of the traffic and everything else. And it was the Angels, and I think, and we were obviously visiting New York, and so I think it was like, the Yankees had like a 7-run lead or like something in the 7th inning, and we left, and then got home, turned on ESPN at the hotel, and the Angels came back, and I think Darren Erstad homered, hit a go-ahead home run or something, and it's like, never leave the ballpark early, stay for everything. Whenever Dante does something like with for the book where like he'll come on, you guys were there, or Drew was there last time we did this, but he'll come on a video chat or something. He'll always ask, how many of you actually stayed? For the ones that raise their hand and say they were. First of all, there were 40,000 people there, but probably 300,000 people that say they were there, right?
Right.
But yeah, so he always asked that question because it was cold.
It was extremely cold.
And even when you have a lockdown closer like Mariano Rivera, a guy who got 100% of the votes in the Hall of Fame, closing out the 9th inning, you still
never know.
Never know. And
the people that left at Fenway in Game 4 in 2004 when Robert stole the base. Yeah. I mean, Mariano's there. They're about to get swept. How many people left?
Yeah.
The baseball film Fever Pitch gets a lot of bad rap, but there is a good scene in there that shows Ben the teacher, Jimmy Fallon, kind of moving on. He's like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to stop being this kid and this baseball fan and work on my relationship. And then hours later, you missed the greatest comeback of all time. And he's like, what am I doing? I'm a baseball guy. I can't
he breaks up with his girlfriend but the one time, I don't go to the game. I've been at every single game for the last 30 years. The one time I don't go, it's the greatest comeback ever.
That's the reality.
You got to see the comeback
baseball.
that counted, though, right? You got to see the comeback that counted in October. So.
Remember the Miami Heat fans, different sport, but I can't remember what year it was.
Right.
I'm trying to get back in the arena.
13 or something. They're all knocking on the doors and stuff. Ray Allen hit the dagger 3 or whatever up on the corner. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Never leave early. It's a simple lesson.
That's right. I probably could have left early for opening day 2008, but it was still extraordinarily memorable to be there and watch them hang the NL West pennant at Coors Field. That was definitely the highlight of the day.
I get it. Who were they playing?
They played the Diamondbacks that day, and they committed several errors. I remember Tulowitzki having one very early on, and them, almost immediately looking like a sophomore slump was in store. It was basically, it's that old line from Major League, like they could tell how the whole season's going to go from the first game, and oops was basically the opening day in 2008, and then 2008 was an oops of a season for the Colorado Rockies, and that was a tough one.
It actually was kind of a sophomore slump in a way because they got back to the playoffs the next year, right?
Right.
So, the team overall definitely had suffered that. You're right.
Yeah. This opening day is always great, but this year it's going to be weird, but it's going to be great again because we just missed real baseball accounts for a long time, and it's just I still can't get over the fact that there are no fans in the stands. That's going to be rough, but it is what it is. You just you take that cliche from everybody we talk to who always uses it, drops it, and we hate it, but they use it, and it is what it is. We got to just deal with it. But baseball's back. That's the bottom line. We get to see the greatest game ever invented. Again, we get to see it live. We get to see it count, and we get to see, hopefully, a postseason.
It's opening day, and it's the opening of sports, really. I know we've had a few other ones come back, but we got hockey and basketball right around the corner, and in many ways, it's the opening of our country in a lot of different ways, whether we're ready for it or not, and that's a debate. and I we've been discussing if baseball's ready, if it should be doing it. But our country, for better or worse, we kind of need to figure this thing out. And baseball is right at the forefront, as it always is, when it comes to figuring out what's going on in our
Well,
society.
yeah. I mean, baseball. I mean, you go back to Jackie Robinson. Baseball was the situation about with breaking the color barrier that came 20 years before the civil rights movement was at its peak, right?
Right.
And then you got 9/11 and the Piazza home run, and
Mhm.
and there are a lot of times throughout history that you can look back and baseball was right in the center of something good. There's a flip side to the Jackie Robinson story, obviously, because it was breaking something terrible, and so it's like it's a flip side. But in terms of being relevant in society and in American history, there's no game that has more of that, and so it's fitting that baseball is the first one to come back here.
So normally about this time, I turn our attention to stuff on the field, and that means cracking open a Breck brew. This time, though, we got to talk a little bit of news. We got to get the news of the day. I don't know if any of you have heard. I guess stuff is going on. There might have been a contract or whatever. I don't know. Did you guys hear something?
I heard somebody got really rich today on paper.
That's what I heard about.
Mookie Wilson from the 1986 Mets, father of Preston Wilson, former Colorado Rockies.
I had no idea that was true until like a few months ago. I was shocked.
Really?
Amazing.
Yeah. That's what, yeah.
I also found out last night that Ken Griffey Sr. was the hitting coach for the Rockies for a while. I had no idea.
Right. That, yeah, I don't think it was very long, but that was.
I couldn't have been. I had no idea that he was there. Yeah. But yeah, Mookie Betts, MLB, Marcus Lynn Betts is his name. So it's fitting.
Yeah.
12 years, $365 million is the extension. So I think overall it'll be a 13-year deal, but it actually includes this
close
year.
To $400 million. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I need $400 million. I need a beer. I need a Breck. Someone bring me my Breck. I can order it from Davidson's. I can get the pickup or the order. I can go to my King Supers and pick it up. My favorite place, though, is to get it down at the farmhouse. You call 303-803-1380 from noon to 8 p.m. You use code DNVR. You save $5 on both the meal and the beer. Delicious food, delicious brew. Been drinking the Mile High City Copper Lagers, but if you want to try a bunch of stuff out, try the 15-can sampler pack or head down there. Someone will hook you up with something tasty. So $400 million is a lot of money, guys. And we had just done a whole podcast conversation after the Patrick Mahomes thing, but using it in baseball. Just like, are 10-year deals ever a good idea? And there's only a handful, as we went through, that have ever worked out as good a player as Mookie Betts is. And as much as I see people saying, oh man, now the Rockies got to face this guy for the next 13 years, it's like, dude, I can't.
Well, I'd say there's one that I believe will work out. The history, if you go back through history, no, the answer is no. They don't really work out very well. But Mike Trout will be great. So yeah, I mean that's always the answer.
He's the exception.
Mike Trout will be the exception to every rule. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think that'll work. But yeah, I mean Mookie Betts he's an incredible baseball player, and he's got a good body type. There are a lot of things that make you think maybe he could be the exception too.
And Drew, you made a good point that ultimately the signing.
Oh, right.
It does sound a little unlike you. No, you made a really good point, and I'll let you make it now about what the signing of Mookie Betts means for the Rockies rather directly.
Yeah, I thought this out a little bit further, and it doesn't completely eliminate the chance that they go after Nolan Arenado, but it does dramatically reduce their ability to do so.
Well, the other side of that, I'd say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The other side of that, I'd say, is that given that this season got cut down to 60 games, and given that there's just so much less for Nolan to go off of, when he makes this decision. So I definitely think he's going to stay. This only helps, but I definitely think he's going to be a Rocky past 21. Now, I think he's going to be a career Rocky now, unless he gets traded toward the end of his contract.
Well, Manny, you remember at the Denver Press Club, we were asked what happens, and I had to go first, and I was like, well, shoot, I didn't think the Rockies were going to pony up the money to sign him, and they did. And I was like, yeah, but all my intuition says, with the new CBA coming up, who knows what happens with that? He's gonna be 2 years older, and he's gonna have to get the same money at older ages. I just don't know that that's gonna happen. So I said I think he's gonna stay. I got
Yeah.
laughed at. Everyone said there's no way he stays.
Well,
Well,
to be
granted,
fair,
I didn't know there was a pandemic.
yeah, to be fair, nobody knew there was a pandemic coming because that was going to change everything. But yeah, I think it's a reasonable argument. But I was of the mind that he's definitely going to he was going to opt out as a matter of course because you do that. You see what you can do.
Sure.
And I thought I thought he would take anything at 30 million AAV or more. He would think about it. He'd think about taking it if it was to a competitive team. Now I don't think that's going to happen now. And I think that now, given what the economic hit that clubs have had, because of COVID and everything else, I don't think they're going to be in a position, today's contract notwithstanding, with the Dodgers and Betts, to really give him. I mean, he's going to be making what, like 35 a year the rest of his contract here. So I think that I don't think that anybody's going to come close to that. And so, and also again, 60 games here. Let's say they go 30 and 30. You don't really know anything about this club. Then next year, you got one season to base it off of, and the Rockies can always say aberrant season, just like they did last year. So I really did. I think all of the pieces are there for him to stay at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and my contention from the very beginning was always that people were putting a lot of pieces together without recognizing two major things. One, the CBA stuff, and two, the just limited number of teams who would both A, have the money, and B, that Nolan would actually want to go to. When teams started talking about,
it's a lot
in a
smaller
couple
pool
of years,
than people like to think.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a list of basically 4 teams, and the Dodgers were one of those 4 teams. And I say were because now the only way they can carve out enough money to sign Nolan Arenado to roughly close to the amount of money he's going to make with the Rockies is for them to cut ties with Clayton Kershaw, Kenley Jansen, basically all of their pitchers, and really play hardball with Cody Bellinger in order to make that happen, because you can't pay Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Walker Buehler what he's going to have to get paid, and Nolan Arenado. There's just not. I don't care how much money you've got.
It's good that this was the Dodgers, right? Because that's home, and if there was one place that he was going to go, the best team in the National League, LA, where he lives. I mean, it would make perfect sense. And I know I was throwing this out there because it was just kind of fun to do it, even though it's wasn't necessarily going to happen. But Justin Turner's contract was up the year that Nolan opts out. And I'm like, but it was more fun to kind of get the reactions from Rocky's Twitter.
Yeah, that was precisely my thought. It was the link back to Southern California. And I mean, hey, again, there could be a circumstance in which, if the Yankees do a couple of things and maybe they can get Stanton's contract off the books, the Red Sox, they cleared a lot of money off with the Betts trade and as well as David Price. They could come knocking, but I don't know if Nolan, wants to get even further away from the West Coast. So, I think this all but kind of locks up the idea that Nolan Arenado will play a large majority of the rest of his career in purple.
I gotta tell you though, if the Yankees come calling, he's gonna think. He's got to think about it. I mean, Nolan Arenado is a spotlight guy. I mean, he's the guy who belongs in the limelight, and he desperately wants to win. So the Yankees offer both of those immediately, and I think that he'll think about it. I still don't think he goes anywhere, but I think that that's one of those that might give him pause. And
does Mike Talkman and DJ LeMahieu
and to be like, hey, we came over here, now we're amazing, dude. Imagine what you could do when you get out of Colorado.
Or do all those guys?
There's some truth to that, by the way.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just wondering if he, they grab the ear of Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone and say, dude, who would just rake here and you'd just be great for the clubhouse and everything that we're trying to do. And man, Cashman just Arenado would salivate.
I've said this before. I think Nolan Arenado, by this point in his career, if he was not in Colorado, for bias reasons, but also for real legitimate reasons as far as having to deal with altitude all season long, he would have been a 3-time MVP by now. I mean, he's going to, if he leaves here, he's going to hit 50 homers a year. He's going to, you think he's driving in runs now. I'm not a big RBIs guy, but he'd drive in 150. Yeah. And it's like this guy would, and then on top of that, the defense, right? So I think this guy would be, kind of an all-world. Nobody's going to be Trout, but he would be kind of getting up and close into that echelon if he was not in Colorado. And that's the other thing that is rough about guys who play here. I think they know that their body has to deal with so much more. And DJ going over there and just absolutely breaking is not a surprise.
No, I very, very specifically predicted it. In fact,
You're right, man. It's not. You can't really draw any conclusions from it because it's just one season. But the fact that he's doing that and all the Yankees fans are like, "Wow, who is this guy?" Well,
yeah,
he would have been doing that before too if he had been with you guys or any other C-level team for a while.
Would it surprise you if in this season, again, it's only 60 games, so I would love to have seen it over 162. But would it surprise you if Daniel Murphy had a markedly better season than DJ LeMahieu? Would that really be a big shock?
No,
I don't think so.
Because Daniel Murphy is. Last year, everything went wrong because he was out of shape. He broke his finger. And obviously, you kind of need that finger to hit, especially when you're as meticulous about it as he is. And he's been hitting the ball well in summer camp, and he went out last night. And I think. This is a guy that will hit 300 every year that he's healthy. That's a given. He's going to hit 300. He's a couple of years older since his last healthy and good season. I think it was 2016. The numbers don't look good. I was doing the StatCast packet for us that we send out to all the regional sports networks, and I had Rockies and Padres. So I did one on Murphy where I took his 2016, his last great year, his hard hit rate, his barrel rate, and some other numbers. And then I took 2017 because he kind of had a down year, and then last year was a really bad year, and the numbers don't look good. But then again, he's Daniel Murphy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I think if I had to pick one between the two, it'd be DJ, but wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and in other news, and we'll get to more of that. But while we're on the topic of the Yankees, Chris Iannetta. It was announced that he has made the Yankees as well as former Rockies player David Hale.
Well, I mean, there's a reason they go after those former Rockies. I mean, they're going to be on the roster. I mean, the one thing that I always laugh about is that when the season started last year, we thought, okay, DJ's going to get a ring, man. Adam Ottavino's going to get a ring before any of these Rockies are going to get rings, and it turned out to be Gerardo Parra, who started with the Giants.
Who'd have thunk? Turned out to be Gerardo Parra.
It's baseball.
That is some baseball. Well, although we do love baseball, we have also very recently fallen in love with a new sport around here, Manny. We've gotten really into rugby, which is great because, down at Infinity Park in Glendale, it's a fantastic facility, but beyond, them having this club team recently, there's exciting news because some of the best rugbyers, I think that's the term, rugbyers in the world are coming to Colorado. It's now the training facility for the men's and women's USA Eagles 15 teams, making Colorado the home for rugby in this country. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to go out, watch more games. I've been learning the sport. It's really easy to pick up, but if you haven't or you want to learn more, check out DNVR Rugby. Our guy Colton Strickler taking you through all the good stuff there. But it's a crazy sport, Manny. It's I see
your T-shirt too, and you've expanded your horizons quite a bit this off season, right?
I know.
And it turned out that it helped because of the long off season, I guess, right?
had to have something, was able to go back and watch.
Although it's
not
like hockey kept going, but.
Well, and so we were doing a lot of these like watch parties, right? These like digital online watch parties and watching.
I got to get out there, by the way.
And
That place looks fantastic. Your guys'
bar
looks great.
Yeah. The bar's been a lot of fun, but watching some old rugby games or like also old hockey. They went back and did like the 2001 Cup Finals, I think it was. So I got to like see Joe Sakic and stuff, which I was never a fan back then. So it was really, really cool. But that means that it is time for us to get on the field a little bit here. And Manny, you brought up a couple things I did want to mention, that the Rockies finally played a game on television last night and against another team. So much more realer baseball than what we've been witnessing.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado, come on, he can hit that off of our pitching.
Every time I updated people on the fact that somebody on the Rockies had hit a home run, I was reminded that it was against Rockies pitching, which, by the way, also looked pretty incredible last night. So the big takeaways, just so everyone knows, then I'll get y'all's analysis on it. David Dahl with a home run, Nolan Arenado and Daniel Murphy with home runs. Ashton Godot, very impressive in the start. 2 innings pitched, a couple of strikeouts, did walk a batter and give up a hit, but still was going up against the Rangers A lineup. Remember, Godot has not pitched above Double-A ball, a late bloomer, maybe trying to make the roster. Chichi Gonzalez looked pretty good in his 2 innings. The 3 walks were a bit concerning, but he was able to handle the traffic. Jeff Hoffman looked all right, gave up 3 hits, walked a batter, struck out a guy. Daniel Bard, the only pitcher who gave up a run. So, not exactly the way he wanted to celebrate his first appearance as this feel-good
Touching
story.
98,
but
though, so that was nice.
Yeah, he
That
was
guy-
touching 98, man.
That guy is whatever he does or doesn't do, he's already a great story.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
100%. And then the final 2, Tyler Kinley pitched a clean inning. We expect him to sort of take over the role that the Rockies had envisioned for Brian Shaw when he was brought onto the roster. And Philip Deal, who is, I think, expected to step into the role that Jake McGee had on the roster, pitched a fantastic inning. Very, very good stuff. With a couple of strikeouts, nobody reached. He was doing that in spring training as well. I think he had more strikeouts than innings pitched for a while there. So really good stuff all the way around for the Rockies. 1 game, but still, they look like they're ready to go.
And they're going toe-to-toe with the Rangers again on Friday. That's the official opening day. I know some people were getting all excited with the days of the week, and the first game's on Tuesday. Well, that's an exhibition game, and it's against the Rangers. Well, I thought they're playing the Rangers on Friday. They are, but that's the Rockies' start. That's their opening day, and I know we were talking about going to the bar, Manny, but that's a good time to go because you might want to call RSVP. There's gonna be a watch party going on at the DNVR bar at
That's the
Friday.
place to be,
again.
man.
Starting at 6 o'clock, so you can kind of reserve your space. Seating is limited, but that's gonna be a good time. That's as close as you're gonna get to, really being at Coors Field,
Right.
especially if you've seen the layout of the bar in there. It's gonna be real cool. It's a special event.
I got to get out there sometime because I've been watching. I mean, right as it opened, that's when all this stuff hit, right? So
Yeah.
and it's all the photos I've seen on Twitter and everything else. It looks fantastic. But I'm looking at this DFA logo down here, and I had a question. Have I been designated for assignment? Is that why I'm on this show?
That's right.
That's great.
That's right. Yeah, you were designated for that. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It has a negative connotation, but it's like depending on where you're at in your career, getting designated for an assignment to go play baseball, not such a bad for money.
That's true.
And now legally means 29 other podcasts could pick up that option there, and you may have a better spot. And it's funny as we talk about DFAs and Nolan Arenado hitting home runs that don't count. One of those home runs was off Jake McGee, who, for anyone who, again, isn't a big follower of any 3 of us on Twitter, Jake McGee was signed by the Dodgers. He got into a game Tuesday night and promptly gave up back-to-back home runs.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That ball that Pujols hit, man.
He gave one up to future Hall of Famer.
By the way, have you guys had a
Pujols.
ceremony?
Yeah.
Have you
Brian
guys had a
Goodwin.
ceremony like laying to rest the bullpen experiment yet? Now that those 2 guys are out of here, I mean Wade's still here.
Oh yeah.
Wade Davis is still here, but have you guys had a moment of silence or what?
Yeah, basically. I did a whole like Sunday tired as hell podcast, like coming on like, oh well, I guess this happened, so now we have to talk about.
Right. You must have had a lot of people watching that, thinking or being in kind of a good mood, that those guys are out off the books now. But it's never good to see if you're a Rockies fan or a fan of whatever team. It's never good to see an investment go bad like that. It's not good for the player either. So you hope for the best for these guys that they go and the fact that he went to the Dodgers, first thought that came to my mind is he'll probably be an all-star.
Yeah.
And so the Dodgers and Yanks in the World Series, LeMahieu and McGee and who knows who else would be on the Dodgers that's a former Rocky by that point.
Exactly. All right, Patrick, do you have any more? What else is going on out there? I know there's a lot. It's been a busy week. After weeks of nothing going on, there's actually things going on.
It's great. It's so great.
Yeah,
So
on
great.
last Wednesday's DFA show, we reported that Yasiel Puig had signed with Atlanta because it seemed as if he did. However, turns out he tested positive for COVID-19.
Life moves at you fast.
And his contract with Atlanta became nullified. So he is still a free agent. The
A
Toronto
lot of
Blue
people,
Jays.
a lot of people clamoring around here that Yasiel Puig should be a Rockies. I have no inside knowledge to base this on, but he's not. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, right.
Not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, if they need a right-handed bat and Kemp's not the guy, you never know what could happen if in a month's time, right? With
not
the
gonna
shortened
happen.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Puig, it's all a clubhouse thing.
Yeah,
It's all a clubhouse
for sure.
Yeah.
Toronto Blue Jays were told by the province of Ontario that they are not welcome. They cannot play in Toronto. So up
Yeah, as
stepped the
far as I
Pittsburgh
understand, they're trying to
Pirates.
figure that out at the moment.
Yeah, the Pirates stepped up and said, "Hey, you guys can use PNC Field," and then that was all worked out. And then the city of Pittsburgh said, "No, you can't. You can't use it."
I think
Toronto. So now they're homeless.
Part of the issue is it's funny because you guys have seen the Bo Bichette stuff blow up, right?
Yeah.
All the Bo Bichette tweets. I just saw one coming on here that said the Blue Jays are homeless. Ho Bo Bichette.
Oh no.
I texted Dante last night a screenshot of him and number 2 trending in the United States, Bo Bichette, and he sends a text back, goes, "LOL, why?" And I'm like, and I just basically kind of recapped
No one can really tell.
the first tweet that started. It wasn't it was a frat tweet or some bro Bichette, and he's like, he had the emoji with the guys with it, the face. He's like, "LOL, I can't believe it. It's ridiculous." But I don't think he's on Twitter, so I don't think he sees this stuff. But it's been, I can't believe how that took off. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
We are all really bored. Right now.
Yeah. We need actual sports bad.
That's right. We need it happening right now. So that's true.
A couple days ago,
with the Blue Jays, with the Blue Jays, the trouble is that because of this, the situation is so fluid, right? Everything keeps changing all the time, and especially now with cases are surging and stuff. So I wonder if the city of Pittsburgh felt like, the city of Pittsburgh felt like for a while that okay, we can do this. And then suddenly now that they're looking at the numbers, they're like, no, we can't do this. So I don't know. I think it'll get worked out one way or another. I thought they were thinking about just having them play at Buffalo or something. If they're a AAA facility or something like that. But
yeah, the players aren't a big fan of using those less than
Facilities.
facilities. The lighting is I guess
that's true. Lighting could be
mediocre.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting if we went back to having 3 teams playing in New York for the first time since 1957. Right. Again, not all New York City, but it would be 3 teams in the state of New York at once.
They're gonna have to make a hat combining the NY and the bird, kind of like somebody. I think Todd Random or what's his name? Todd Radom.
Yeah.
I think he put out one of those pillbox caps of the Pirates with the stripes. It was blue and white stripes, and it had the Blue Jay, and the top part of the Blue Jay was like Pirates colors. I don't know. I think it was Pirates colors. They just changed the colors on the top.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. We're going to see some interesting stuff come out of this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. We're gonna keep an interesting stuff file for the season. Yeah.
Yeah. And if the Rockies win the World Series, you thought they were gonna have an asterisk next to their name before? Well, got news for you.
Oh yeah.
Counts twice as much.
Like you guys have.
Counts 3 times as much. That's right.
Your Twitter handle now, or on your Twitter handle.
As we've clarified.
Yeah.
Quest for the asterisk counts 3 times as much.
Hey man. Everybody's playing under the same rules. They win it all. They win it all. That's fun.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
how it works.
We got a couple of players that will not be playing in 2020. Colin McHugh became the 15th player. He's a former Rocky pitcher. He's going to sit out the 2020 season. Again, he's sitting out. He's not opting out. Players that opt out are considered high risk and are given the option to either play or not play. Colin McHugh is just straight up not playing, so he does not get service time. Interestingly enough, while it seems as if he's not going to get paid in 2020, from how I understand it, because he is making close to the league minimum, his contract that he signed did have a lot of bonuses based on performance, but ultimately the contract that he had, which was close to league minimum, he's already paid. He was already paid that lump sum that MLB gave to players in April and May. A lot of guys that are making league minimum are now playing the next 2 months for free, oddly enough. Anthony Rendon.
So weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Anthony Rendon, he might not be ready for opening day of the Angels. He's got oblique soreness. But more importantly, if we're talking about the NL West, Brandon Belt and Evan Longoria are set to open the season on the injured list. Don't forget that after the Padres come to town in Denver from August 3rd to 6th, those are games 8 through 11. San Francisco will be playing at Coors Field, so a definite advantage in that 4-game series.
And
It's crazy to think of a
it means
4-game
that much
sweep.
more too, Patrick. Like that, you make a good point, because in a season that's just a third of a regular season, you go through times like when the Rockies lost like the season series to the Marlins last year or 2 years ago or whatever, or they always lose down in Miami.
I was gonna say they always lose to the Marlins.
Yeah, so like when they lose to these teams that they should beat, it in the end, yes, it would have made a difference in 18 because they tied for the NL West lead by the end of the season, but normally it doesn't come back to bite you really one way or the other. But it can in this sort of situation because you're only playing 60 games. So if the injuries and players not being there, even for a team that's not great like the Giants, that could be big for the Rockies. It's true.
I mean, you look back at, I'm pretty sure it was 18 where they played the NL West incredibly well. They struggled against a lot of other teams, but they basically played the Dodgers even, both in their season series and down to having to play a game 163 against them. They pretty much took care of business against the Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks at a decent clip. And it's like if they can do that this year, it's that much more important. So
absolutely, that's a great point. It's very important.
Well,
every little thing is going to matter.
That's right. On this day in baseball history, a lot of crazy things happen. We'll kind of just hit the sweet spots. One of my favorites is in 1986. Mets, Reds, they had a bit of a brawl between, I think it was Ray Knight and Eric Davis, who go back and look.
Oh, yeah.
I know Manny knows, but one of the most underrated players of his generation, kind of was derailed for injuries, but was a definite 40-40 threat. And because of this, the Mets were ultimately short on players, so they performed what's called the Waxahachie swap. And this is something that the 3-batter minimum actually has nullified, so you can't do this. But what happened was Jesse Orosco and Roger McDowell, one of them had to pitch, the other one had to play right field. And depending on the batter that was up, they would switch. So actually, they didn't get that specific. It was one of them pitched the 10th, then the other one then that pitcher went to right field, and the other one pitched the 11th, and they went back and forth, and ultimately the Mets ended up winning that game in 14
Where'd the name
innings.
come from?
The Waxahachie swap, I'm not sure because it had existed, I think, long before them, and I imagine that was the hometown of the manager that had created that scenario.
Oh, okay.
That was the last time I think we've even seen that strategy utilized.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Davis, you bring up Eric Davis, and you'll never get me to shut up about Eric Davis because Eric Davis was going to be one of the top 10 position players of all time. I mean, that guy, he hit I think he hit 50 homers and stole 37 bases or something in like 86, and he only played in like 140 games. And then all the injuries hit, and that was it. But he's the what if guy that I think about the most.
1986, 27 homers, 80 stolen bases. Next year went out and said, "I'm not going to steal as many bags. Only stole 50, but
I'm
hit
gonna hit the bomb."
37." Unbelievable. Yeah.
What did I say? It was 37 homers, 50 steals.
Yeah. He still ended up playing until age 39 and finished up with the Giants. 349 homers.
He played for the Orioles. He played for the Giants. He played for the Dodgers. He played for a lot of, wherever he could get, a spot. He had cancer. Like he had to deal with cancer later in his career, and like literally go from, I think there was a playoff game, or there was a postseason game against the Indians in like the ALDS in like 97, and Eric Davis was on the Orioles, and he literally came from chemo to the day before, and then was on the field the next day. It's unbelievable what he had to do. He actually pierced his spleen on a diving catch or a diving play in Oakland in Game 4 of the World Series in '90 when the Reds upset the A's, and had to be hospitalized. I mean, all kinds of bad luck for that guy. But I remember asking him one time about how, I mean, I said, I know you hear this all the time, but you're the guy, man. You're going to be one of the greatest of all time. He's like, yeah, if not for AstroTurf, and if we had padded walls in every ballpark, maybe.
When I think of those stark white Cincinnati Reds unis from the mid to late 80s, I think of
the giant letters.
Davis, 44. That was
Uh-huh.
the one, right? And they didn't wear
Yeah.
belts. They had like elastic there.
That was
fantastic.
great. I love
All right.
those. I wish they'd go back.
Two interesting sample size sprint based trivia, or rather history from this day. In 1997, Vinny Castilla had 5 hits, including 2 home runs, as the Reds outslugged the Expos 11-9. But the win gave Colorado only its 3rd in 19 games. So they were 3-16 during a stretch in 97. Not so good. On the other side,
you know what's amazing about
they
that?
had the
Larry
MVP of the National League
Larry
on
Walker
their team.
had one of the best. Larry Walker had, in the last, I think I put this in the book, but in the last, I think, since Larry Walker's 97 season, he had a 9.8 EWAR that year. Only, I think, 6 guys have done that since then. Trout, Betts are 2 of them, Bonds twice, and just the names are unbelievable. And they had that in right field. And they
3-16 stretch.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Last place team. Won MVP on a last place team.
Second guy to do that. I think Andre Dawson was the first. Yeah. People were starting to finally get that it doesn't matter. You know? I mean, that's an argument for another day, right? The whole he has to play for a winning team or whatever. Mike Trout should have 7 MVP awards right now. Yeah. He only has 3. And that's why.
The next year in 98, the Yankees defeated the Tigers 13-2 and upped their record to 71-25. It was a major league record after 96 games.
Who was that?
The Yankees, the 98 Yankees.
Oh, the 98 Yankees, the one that won 114 games. Yeah.
Exactly, 721 winning percentage, something insane like that. So 2 things in back-to-back years that kind of put this whole 60-game sprint in perspective a little bit, you know?
Great point. That team, the difference between that team and the 116-win Mariners team, 2 fewer wins, but a World Series title.
Yeah.
I mean, that Mariners team, won with Ichiro in his first year, Edgar, Mike Cameron, all those guys. Boy, 116 wins and you go out like that.
Brutal.
The Yankees, of course.
I got and the final 2 pieces of history from today. One's good, one's bad. Well, one's a tragedy. Should I get the tragedy out of the way?
Yeah, let's do that first. Yeah.
Today, unfortunately, when we record this Wednesday, July 22nd, is the 13th anniversary of Tulsa Drillers first base coach Mike Coolbaugh getting hit in the head by a line drive, and he had unfortunately just recently been hired that month because one of their other hitting coaches, Orlando Merced, formerly of the Pittsburgh Pirates, had resigned, and that is the reason why the first and third base coaches, they wear a helmet now, because up to that point they
that's what brought that about. Okay.
Yeah, that was it. That was in 2007, the year they ended up going to the World Series. I think they wore patches and stuff. I know his kids came and threw out the first pitch at.
Those are heartbreaking, man. Those are heartbreaking.
It wasn't I was bawling my eyes out, and it was.
We've seen a few of those, right, where the kids came out.
Yeah.
Didn't Daryl Kyle's kids do that or something? I mean, whoever, maybe Skaggs, I don't know, but it's heartbreaking when you see kids, otherless children, go out and throw a first pitch.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was the first base coach. I assumed he was the third base coach, right? Maybe there's a guy on second base. You're kind of splitting your attention. He was the first base coach. So,
sometimes you just can't get. I mean, split second, right?
Yeah,
split second.
Rest in peace, Mike Coolbaugh, and to the entire Coolbaugh family. Our thoughts are still with you. Well, on I guess I don't know if this is a positive note, but it is an interesting one that I found. Was that in 2001. A trio of Astros pitchers, Shane Reynolds, Octavio Dotel, Billy Wagner, they threw a shutout at Enron Field, which is now Minute Maid Park. And it took them, and that shutout meant that it took 132 games before the Astros had thrown a shutout at Enron, which had opened in the 2000 season. So that drought broke the record set by the Rockies, who went 103 games before pitching their first shutout. So as wild as a hitter's haven as Coors Field seemed to have been, Rockies got their first shutout before the Astros did at Minute Maid Park.
Interesting. Minute Maid Park, cheap homer paradise.
Crawford box.
Really want the Crawford box. They're going to have cutouts there this year, but you know what? Those Crawford boxes are what Carlos Gonzalez said. You guys remember that story I did about the cheap homers? Well, Carlos Gonzalez, I was asking him about it, and And he's like, yeah, I'll tell Altuve, because once he found out Minute Maid was at the top of the list of Chief homers, he's like, Altuve tells me, man, he's like, when I go on the road, I try to hit 400. When I go home, I try to hit home runs to left field, and that's what you do at Minute Maid Park, Chief home runs. It's not Coors, guys. I have to update that too. Last time we checked was 2017. Coors was 9th on the Chief homer list, so not nearly what folks believe out there.
Yeah, yep. That's just smart baseball. And hey, speaking of smart, and we gotta test your brain here now. We gotta test everybody else's brain out there too. So hopefully you're all prepared. You done got your classes in at MSU Denver Online. They got all kinds of courses, whether you're trying to start out a new degree, trying to finish up an old one, just pick up another couple of skills. You go to msudenver.edu/online, get a great education at a quality price, and you can get it from people who know what they're doing when it comes to online education and aren't just now trying to figure it out. They've got responsive teachers that are really, really great at helping you with whatever it is you want to do to make sure that you are ready to tackle the world at its fullest capacity when it's ready to be tackled at a full capacity. So again, go to msudenver.edu/online, sharpen up that brain so that you can also maybe hit for the cycle. Manny, we're very excited to throw you on the spot here and challenge you with baseball trivia. You are one of the most knowledgeable. You've basically just been throwing baseball trivia at us all podcast here. So we're going to
better at throwing it than catching it. I'll tell you that.
Well, in baseball, you got to do a little bit of both, right? You got to, although that don't have to be a two-way player as much with the DH and the NL now, but still,
yeah.
Cheers. But here's how the game works. Basically, we've got 4 trivia questions for you, and you got to try to hit for the cycle. The first one's a single, nice and easy. It's going to be related to the Colorado Rockies. The second one for the double, a little bit tougher, not necessarily in any way related to the Colorado Rockies. The third question, even harder than that, and it will once again be a Rockies-related question. And then the fourth one will be the toughest, and it can be based on whatever is out there. You've also got
the fourth one is the triple, right? Because it's always a triple shot.
I know. We've
I knew you were going to say that.
I know. It's
the
like
weighted cycle.
Oh
gosh, here it comes.
The weighted cycle. It's not about. It's about the total bases.
You got to do it in order.
That's right.
Yeah.
What do they call it?
The natural cycle.
The natural cycle.
Yeah.
The natural cycle.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And you also have at your disposal some lifelines.
Baseball Reference?
Yeah, right. You can hop on Baseball Reference splits. No,
Lifeline. Okay, what's that about?
Well, we're gonna take. You don't need me to offer you hints. I feel like it would almost be condescending for me to suggest that you can use me to give you a clue. We would do that for other people.
Well,
I wouldn't do that. But you can go to our comments section, or you can make it a multiple choice.
It's like he wants to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So those are your lifeline options.
Let's do it. Let's see what you got.
All right, Manny. So I know you're going to crush this. So in each tier of question, I have to ask you the toughest one that's on it. But I still have no doubt that you're gonna get this. I may even have to improvise something when we get to the last.
I'm gonna say
one.
if he's cruising by the fourth one, just show him the answer and he has to guess the question.
Guess the question.
That is a lot more
Jeopardy
fair.
style.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you a Pud Galvin question there. All right. So your first question is.
We go back to 1800s baseball.
I'll ask you some Matt Kilroy questions if I have to.
Are you serious, guys? Really?
What play
again? Who wants to be a millionaire? We start cheese.
And don't answer yet because again, we have so many people who listen to us on podcast on their drive into work, and they want to think about it. They usually hit pause after I ask the question so they can answer. So the question is this: what player on Father's Day of 2017 became only the 6th player to end his cycle with a walk-off homer?
Should I pause for a sec?
Pause
Father's
for
Day
drama.
2017. What Rockies player walked it off?
Well, I'm going to give you an answer, and then I'm going to ask you a little trivia question back real quick because I think it's a fun question. Nolan Arenado is the answer, but who also hit a home run that day? Who also hit one on Mother's Day that year? He had one on Father's Day and on Mother's Day.
Oh, for the Rockies?
Mark
hit one in the same
Reynolds.
game as Nolan did, but he also hit one on Mother's Day that year.
Mark Reynolds?
Mm-mm. I don't know why this stuck in my head from the game notes that day.
Yeah, that's really
Charlie
interesting.
Blackman.
Someone.
I don't mind just
I'll
throwing
give you a hint.
guesses
He
out.
barreled it.
Pet Valleca.
Hey guys, right there.
Patty
Valleca. Patty Barrels.
Wow.
The home run on Mother's Day and then one on Father's Day before Nolan's home run. I think it was a go-ahead homer right before the Giants had that big, what was that, the big eighth inning?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
All right,
I
cool.
remember that. Yeah. Wow. So Manny's already beating us at trivia. We're one question.
I'm telling you, once we get
No,
to the
it's
harder
great.
one, it'll be different. Let's see what do you got next?
All right. So, I'm trying to think. This could be tough for you.
Okay.
I think a lot of our fans know this or would know it, but nevertheless, the question for you is this, Manny. Before the Colorado Rockies played baseball in Denver, what sport did the Colorado Rockies play from 1976 to 1982? So there was another team called the Colorado Rockies, professional team in this town.
Yeah, it was
all
hockey.
your lifelines.
It was hockey. And the reason I
Field or
know that is
ice?
I literally was talking to somebody about stuff today, and it just came up. So
Really?
there you go.
Wait, judges.
I didn't know this was going to happen, but there you go.
Was it field or ice? Because you weren't specific.
Ice hockey.
Drew, what do you think? Should we let him go on?
We'll
with
accept
that?
it.
We'll allow it.
Hockey?
Yeah.
We'll allow it. No, it was ice.
No, no.
We didn't know what you meant. We didn't know.
It's like, what? Did they
No, it's ice hockey.
play some field hockey? Oh, good stuff.
Well, I think
All
in the
right.
Olympics they call field hockey, if you look, because that's why it's called hockey. And then there's ice hockey. So field is the original, right?
Oh, okay.
Think about it. Think about it.
Learning all kinds of new stuff. We got a comment here saying they're now the New Jersey Devils. Is that who they are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's right. They did the reverse Patrick move. They went from Colorado to New Jersey rather than the opposite way.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
All right. Okay.
This should be the hardest one, guys.
Ask you.
The triple. But let's see
Now,
it. Let's hear it.
I have a question that the answer is John Mabry, but there's no way anyone's going to get it. I need to just get rid of that one off the board. So if you can come up with a fun fact about John Mabry, I might just let you skirt through with a triple here.
John Mabry,
Otherwise,
the guy in the Cardinals mostly who batted left-handed, no batting gloves. That guy.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Yes, that wouldn't be a very good trivia question, but you knew something about him. All right, your triple is this: who was the starting pitcher in the first ever Rockies game on April 5th, 1993?
I should know this one, but it's going to take me a second. I know who pitched the first home game. That's for sure.
Who pitched the first home game? Let's talk it out.
Home game? Well, home game was the old guy. What's his name? Oh man,
Bruce Ruffin.
No, Charlie Huff was it?
That would be the Florida Marlins. You're thinking.
That was the Marlins. That's
you're
right.
Thinking of the old knuckleball.
I know. It's funny because I know who the guy who pitched for the Expos because he gave up the EY homer, Kent Bottenfield, who became a Rocky. Was it?
Now you got all your lifelines. You don't need to rush it. You can. Yeah,
I don't think I have.
Kreisman.
My first guess in my head is what this dude over here, Chris, put on the comments. But he's not even sure.
All right. So since you're already using the comments,
I was going to say, I guess you have the comments.
You're using a lifeline actively.
No, hey, I didn't look at them on the other questions. I didn't.
I forgot he could see this. It's fine.
It is a suggestion by one of our most knowledgeable DNVR supporters, Chris Hill.
Yeah. Give me.
I would say that's a decent.
Give me a second because I know the most.
You were out there for a second, but yeah.
Hint. That's a decent lifeline there by Chris Hill, saying David Need.
Was it David Need for the first game? Because
he was David Need.
All right.
Expansion draft.
It's the only guy I could think of who would. Yeah.
Well, it's the only guy I thought of because of. I know they had Reynoso too, but Need was the first pick in the expansion draft.
Right.
So you think maybe that's the guy they go with? Yeah.
Right.
Manny, what team did he come from? What team was he plucked from?
Atlanta.
Boom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did I tell you this guy? All right.
They got. You know how many guys they cleaned out Atlanta, man. They had Benny. They had Benny, Armando Reynoso, and
Marvin Freeman. Eventually, he was the next year.
Yeah.
And maybe the best steal of them all, Paul Egan's.
Paul
Egan's,
Egan's,
baby.
man. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great call.
That's
I remember
amazing.
Behind the scenes.
I remember Bob
He-
Gebhardt telling me about how they got Vinny, and he was like, "We cleaned out the Braves, man." For the book, he's telling me he's like, yeah, I was talking to. It was like 2 years before that when I first got the gig, as a GM in '91 to start building this team, and I was at Braves camp talking to John Sherholz, and I'm like, I'm watching this skinny kid with the big bat, just hitting fastball after fastball over the fence, but and decent on the field, and I'm looking at him, and John Sherholz, before I asked him anything, said, "You're not getting him. His name's Vinny Castilla." Lo and behold, he wasn't protected, and they got him. So
And they got him.
All right, Drew, we're
Yeah.
we're on our final question here.
And Manny's like, by the way, he's like hit a single, a double, a triple. He's got a sac fly. He's laid down a bunt for a hit. Like he's done a lot of extra in this.
I did not lay down a bunt for
Oh,
a
that's
hit.
right. That's
No
right.
way.
I apologize for putting. He got the pitcher win also, and he got a few RBI for me.
It dingers.
Oh.
So, Drew, do you think I should ask Manny a World Series question, a stolen base question, or a Grand Slam style question?
I gotta make him answer a stolen base question based on our
all right.
interaction a moment ago, and
I still love the steal. If you're fast, I still love the steal. I'm with it. I'm with that. It's just that now, if
It's
you're
worth a
slow, you should be
negative
running, whereas
WPA,
Babe
you
Ruth
know.
ended the World Series running, trying to steal a base. That I wouldn't go with that.
that's not good.
Hashtag kill the steal. All right, your final question here for the
Oh,
cycle,
no, I'm not
Manny.
gonna do this.
In 2008, Willie Tavares led the NL with 68 stolen bases. Who set the modern-day record for 130 stolen bases
It has to be Ricky,
in
right?
a season? Ricky, I'm going to need a last name. I know a lot of Rickies.
Ricky Henderson.
Ricky Weeks. He went Ricky
Henderson,
Weeks.
130 stolen bases in a season. Did he do it? He did indeed.
That was
He
19.
did
Let me
indeed.
try the year because I want to try something a little tougher. I'm sorry, guys.
No, we made the triple the toughest one for you.
Oh, you did? Okay,
You
great.
needed Chris to get David
You
Neef.
did do that. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
1981.
82.
Okay.
Yeah.
82. All right.
He had
Cool. That was
100
fun,
plus
guys.
stolen bases 3 out of 4 years.
The
That's
previous
insane.
record, Lou Brock's record, was 118, and so he broke that year, obviously. But I don't think anybody's even come close to that ever since then.
I don't think anybody will.
I think people thought
Again.
Billy Hamilton would, but you got to get on base to steal a base, right?
Ouch.
Hey, those are the facts.
It hurts because that guy, we want to see another Ricky Henderson, because that guy was a force in so
I don't
many
think
ways.
we ever will.
We might not. We
What,
might not.
I think it was Bill James said that Ricky Henderson had 2 different Hall of Fame careers. One was just as a guy
That's a
who was
great
really
point.
fast as a leadoff hitter, and the
You're
other one
right.
was just a good
One
hitter
was
that
Tim Raines,
had
and the other
power.
one was, he could on his speed alone, he could have been in the Hall of Fame, right? Great
Yeah.
point. Yeah, I like that.
He's our sports Allen Iverson.
Also,
Not ever going to see that ever again.
Also, all of this, I love Ricky Henderson home runs. There should be more gifts of Ricky Henderson after hitting a ball he knows is going to go over the fence. But
Last month,
Right.
MLB Network had the game where he broke the record, and Lou
Oh, yeah.
Brock was out there. I didn't realize that.
He was
Lou
there,
Brock
yeah.
came out and he said this whole thing, and so Ricky says in front of Lou Brock,
greatest of all
"Today
time.
I am the greatest of all time. Thank you."
Yeah.
In front
the
of
thing
Lou
is,
Brock.
but that's Ricky. I mean, people misunderstand this, I think, because he said he loves Muhammad Ali. That's his guy. I don't know if he said it in the speech there or not, but he loves him. So he said, "Today I'm the greatest of all time," because he wanted to say something that Muhammad Ali said. But you got to. People are going to misunderstand you, and Ricky would probably, if he was with us right now, he'd probably say Ricky been misunderstood.
Ricky Ben,
So,
yeah. All right, 2 quick Ricky Henderson stories. One's true, one's not.
Okay.
Ricky.
I have to guess which.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you.
No, make him guess. Come on.
Make me guess?
Like
All right.
that.
When Ricky played with the Mets, right? He was on first base, just doing BP, and he noticed that John Olerud was wearing a helmet, right? And he's like, "Oh
Great
man,
story.
that is crazy," because I played with a guy in Toronto that used to wear a helmet in the field. He was teammates with John Olerud in Toronto. And the
Yeah.
other one, so maybe it
That one's
happened,
fake.
maybe it didn't.
Yeah.
And the other one is
According to
A's,
Ricky, maybe he was just too embarrassed.
the A's front office, they were balancing their books. I think it was at the end of one year, and they kept coming up $1 million short, exactly $1 million short. And then they realized, well, wait a minute, we wrote a check to Ricky Henderson that wasn't cashed. So they call him up and they say, hey, Ricky, remember that check we gave you in spring training? He's like, yeah, absolutely. I got it in a frame right behind me in my office right now. And they go, Ricky, you got to cash that thing. Like it's you got to cash it. And that's where the money was at. True. So which one was real? Which one did not happen?
The Olerud one was false, according to Ricky, and then the check one, which I'm so glad is true because I really wanted it to be true, and I really wanted the Olerud one to be true too. But
I still believe it. I don't care.
I kind of still do too.
Didn't want to be embarrassed or whatever. But
the Olerud one. Well, I saw Ricky in Cooperstown like several years ago walking down the street, and he was having this long conversation with Ryan Klesko. They were teammates together, for a little bit, with the Padres, and that was the year that La Russa was going in. So they had all these old A's guys there, and I just thought at the end of this conversation that Klesko and Ricky Henderson was having, Klesko would say, "Hey, really good seeing you again, Ricky," and then Ricky says, "Hey, really good seeing you too, there, Mark Kotze," and he walks away, and Ryan Klesko's like, "Gee, what the heck?" I do not know if that's true. I cannot confirm that, but that's what I imagined he said as he walked away.
Ricky Henderson, man. All-time great on the field, all-time great off the field, that's for sure.
Well, Manny, we appreciate you coming on and having a Ricky Henderson-esque performance and hit for the cycle.
That's a great compliment right there. I can't get a better compliment than that. I appreciate it. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. We'll have to have you back on sometime and help one of our subscribers through trying to hit for this cycle. And you can be there as sort of moral support sometime in the future. We'll bring you back. Of course, to check out all of Manny's stuff at MLB.com. Check out StatCast, everything they're doing this year. Remember to read the book. Read it again if you've already read it, The Blake Street Bombers. Anything else you want to plug while you're just hanging out? Anything that's more recent?
I'll just say this. I'm not going to divulge the details, but I'll just say we're getting the band back together, and it's coming up soon. So
there it is.
Be good. It'll be a lot of fun.
Getting very excited out there. So just hope you're following everyone on the social media, subscribing to the DNVR.com, get yourself some cool merch, get yourself, the new Larry Walker shirt. I didn't even plug it. I forgot. I totally forgot. There it is, Patrick, showing it to you on the live here on the YouTube. We got Larry Walker on the plaque in the Hall of Fame. I really hope that that's exactly what it looks like, by the way.
I'm sure that's how they're going to put it there. Put it up there.
Notice the maple leaf detail in it too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
So good. So good.
Helmet on backwards. I think it was conceptualized just before the SpongeBob thing, so we couldn't quite get the reference to that. But maybe for the next shirt. Again, check out all of this stuff. Make sure you're hanging out with Manny on Twitter and reading all of his stuff. Does fantastic reporting. Just beyond that, continue to be absolutely awesome out there. We will continue to be Patrick Lyons, Manny Randawha, and Drew Creasman in here. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark.